Hey, each and everybody, and welcome to another Smoke and Mirrors. This episode is brought to you by Therapy. Therapy, and dig deep. They dig deep. Oh boy, and now here's a song. Joshua, here's the thing. We're going to have to either figure out what we're going to do during this bit, or we're going to have to stop doing it because I am running of songs. Okay, here we go. A lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. Okay, there you go. That's the song. And now here they are, your inveterable host, Carlos Harim Wyndham. And doing the thing, isn't it? It's Tuesday. Tuesdays are Monday. And now we're on. Hope you all are doing well, each and everybody. I am. Hey, how you doing? Dentistry for the brain. Yeah. It was. Yeah, the runner joke was. I'll tell you, was born of a thing that happened before we got here today. And so if my eyes are looking swollen. Your girl went to therapy, and guess what? I'm fucked up on the inside. So we're working on it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and it is helping me immensely. If you have a therapist, go, and even when you don't think you need to go, keep going. All right. Hey, this is Smoke and Mirrors. You know what it is, and if you like it a lot, there's so many ways you can support it. One is to just be there talking to us the way that Kristen is there in the chitty chats. You can support it by sharing it. You can support it by a like. You can support it by subscribe. You can support it by a comment. You can drop 5 on it at the Venmo at Carlos-Wyndham. You can do that at the Cash App at $CK Wyndham. Why did I stutter? I don't know. Let's go back and do it again. Cash App at $CK Wyndham. You can do it at PayPal/me.CK Wyndham. Sorry, English and British people. I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. And if you absolutely love it and you really want to get into it, you can become a patron of this art by going to the Patreon at Smoke and Mirrors CCB. That's for the comedy, that's for the culture, and that is for the blackness. I got that in spades for you. Tracy's got it for you in the chats. You see it. You know what it is. You know I'm in a band. The band is called Wallace. We make music. You can listen to it. Go listen to it if you want to. It's really good. I don't know. We don't really have a genre. So check it out. I don't know. So, hey, there's Bo. What's going on? Greetings. I have heard someone describe it as Adele and Hamilton had a car accident, which hurts and feels very accurate. So if you enjoy those things, check it out. Wallace and We Ride. Here I am. You know what that means. That means here we go. So listen. I'm seeing in the chats today, I'm seeing some of my blacks, some of my browns. I see you there. In the chats today, I'm also seeing some of my whites. Some whites. I see you. And it's lovely to see you here as well. Oh, look at you, Bo. You said I had a Christopher Walken inside me. I didn't know that sounded like Christopher Walken. That's beautiful. I'll have to go back to look at the playback later and clip that and decide that I have something worth showing Lauren. Did you got that, Joshua, right? Okay. All right. So the browns, the blacks, we go through things, And sometimes those things are very common. And every once in a while, somebody goes, you know what? Fuck that. And when they do, they can have an impact or two. The first of the impacts, of course, is that you can hopefully, maybe, take somebody's job. It's a favorite of mine if it gets to it. And the other is that you could win a lawsuit and let everybody know publicly that the people who fucked with you suck. That was the choice of the person who is with me today under the philosopher's tree. We're going to talk about that and probably comedy and probably, I don't know, stuff. You know what we do. It's fun because we've not met, and I'm extra nervous because I fucked up his name right before we went live, and so now I'm going to say it into the microphone live in front of everybody and hope that I don't disgrace this person and that I don't disgrace myself and my own ancestry as I ask you to join to join, not to join. What the fuck, Joshua? You know what? Go back, edit that out. Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna see it. It's live stream. We ask and welcome to join us under the philosopher's tree here. Portland comic Mohanad Elshieky, and here he comes, right here. Blam!
Hello.
Hey. Close? Yes?
Hey,
right?
You did really well.
Okay, thank you.
That was really good. Yeah, you really crushed it. Yeah.
Listen. I grew up with a mother who is a pedant, and that worked two ways. So she was both very much a white supremacist about my language, and very much clear that I have to say my names correctly, and so it's important to me that I say other folks' names correctly too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, are you back in Portland now, or have you moved? Where are you now? When people say former Portland comic, what does that mean? What is it? What the hell are what is the newspaper talking about?
I live in Brooklyn now. I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, all right. Yeah, how you liking that?
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, I like it a lot. I really can't imagine living anywhere else now. But I did live in Portland for I'd say 6 years or so.
Yeah.
So I've had my fair share of being in Portland.
Yeah, I'm completing my sentence here. My child is in 6th grade, so I think I have about 5 to 6 more years on the bid before I can skedaddle. You know.
Well, I believe in you. You can do that.
Listen, at this point, I feel like I can stand on my head and get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were in Portland for 6 years. When did you come here already thinking, all right, I'm gonna deal with my circumstances, my emotions through stand-up? Was that like out the gate?
Absolutely not. I mean, honestly, I had no plans of doing stand-up at all. It wasn't really, it wasn't something that was like, oh yeah, that was my dream since I was like a kid or something. I always wanted to do stand-up. Mm-hmm. I've always watched stand-up comedy, you know, like that was something I loved since I was a child. And the dream was just to watch stand-up comedy live. That's all I wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
But then, you know, like I moved here, I was in Portland. I went to Portland State University, and I was there for a while. And that's when I started like going to comedy shows and just like seeing the local scene and whatnot. And I remember one of the classes I took in college was a public speaking class. And the professor, like at the end of the term, was just like, I was like, hey man, like, yeah, he was like, have you tried stand-up comedy before? I was like, no, I haven't really. But he was like, you should just really give it a shot. He was like, I have a friend here in Portland who's a stand-up comic. I'll introduce you to him. Alex Falcone. Uh, and he was like, yeah, he's been doing it for a while. Like he can like show you around and like take his class or and whatnot. So I did that, and I kind of like started like getting to know the scene better. And
Yeah.
I didn't do it immediately yet because I was just like, you just have this thing where you're like, I don't know, like I don't know what is it that even people like to hear about or like talk about and stuff. So like I started like attending like as much comedy as possible. Like, I was a college student, so I took it like as an assignment, like just doing as much research as possible. Just like watch other people's material, go like on YouTube, find the other clips, just watch them, like dissect them, just like really like get into details. And I didn't start doing it until like January of 2016. I remember that was like my New Year resolution, just to do my first open mic. Once I felt comfortable enough, I did that, and my first open mic was, I think it was at the Brody Theater when it was open. And then after that, I did one in at Helium. And then I was like, this is fun. Like I really like this. I just want to keep doing this. It just feels like, like it's just one of those few times you're like, oh, I just get to talk for a few minutes and just, I'm the only one with the mic here.
Yeah.
And you have to everyone else just like listen to you, which is, you don't have that often.
Yeah. No, and I've seen a few of the sets. I highly encourage folks to check out Mohanad's material on YouTube and on what you said. You're mostly available through Twitter, right?
Yeah. I'm mostly there. Yeah.
Yeah. So check out what's going on in terms of the stand-up sets, because there's something about the way that you deliver that is very, I mean, the level of comfort that you present, in particular with the material that you're tackling in terms of tackling xenophobia, in terms of tackling white supremacy. It's brave stuff. It is, as they say, ballsy stuff. How do you get yourself situated to take that material to different audiences? How has that been for you?
Well, I think it's just a matter of just like realizing that, the bigger the risk is, the bigger the reward is. So I just like had that mindset of things. And, like it doesn't always work, obviously, because like you try it at an open mic or like you try it at a show and it doesn't really fly as well as you expect it to go.
Right.
Or you're just like, okay, I like this, but I'm like not sure like how to like present it. But at the end of the day, I wanted to like, like you want to make people laugh, obviously. Like that's what comedy is. You want to entertain people first and foremost. But at the same time, I was like, okay, like I want to do the kind of comedy like when you go home, like you still remember me and you remember what I said and you would quote it to other friends.
Right.
That's the kind of comedy I want to have, and you cannot have that unless you're like willing to take, like as much risks as you can. And like, and I think it also has to do with just like maybe like where I grew up and stuff like that. Like, 'cause I feel like where I grew up in Libya, like our sense of humor is just like very kind of like very dark, very morbid. Like we just talk about like this stuff, and it's just you can joke about anything you want. So I'm like, I don't really have that like fear of just like being like, this is, like maybe this is heavy, maybe this is too dark, or maybe this is like something I shouldn't talk about. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I mean, I don't know. It's funny to me. Like and the thing is, like I think because they are heavy stuff, but like at the same time they're about me, and I feel like once people see that you're talking about this personal thing and you're like, like smiling about it, and just like you're telling it, I'm like, it's my life, and I am giving you the permission to laugh at these jokes. They kind of like loosen up and they're just like, like they get going. So
right. All right. So one of the things that you talk about that is for me both familiar and terrifying and fascinating is the circumstance of being stopped by different folk, right? You
Yeah.
have an older bit about being stopped, uh, which I'm imagining was a true story. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, what were the circumstances of that time? Since there seemed to be more
Yeah.
than one.
Well, yeah. So, so yeah, the bet you were mentioning is I talk about like being stopped by like two types of militias, basically. Like you have like I 'cause when like when I lived in Libya, like mostly there was a time after like 2011, after the Arab Spring, and if people who are like watching not familiar with that, it's just like like when like revolutions started happening in like the Middle East and North Africa, and that was like followed by like a civil war and like and whatnot. Like you remove a government, you remove a regime, and then what you have is you have like a power vacuum. You have like all of these like militias and like extremists like just taking over. So that was what was happening in Libya then. So it became like something I'm used to is that I would like be driving somewhere and I would just have to stop at a checkpoint.
Mm.
And like these checkpoints are just like you can literally find them anywhere. They just don't, and you're not even sure like what is the purpose, but you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna stop you. They're gonna ask you questions. They're gonna search your car.
Yeah.
They're gonna like test you on like because like like these are like all like groups that are just like fighting, and they want to know where your like alliance goes, and you're like someone like me. I'm just like I don't have any sides. I just really just want to go home. I don't care. Like I just want you guys to leave me alone, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to any group. So I talk about this, and I talk about how I was stopped by this group and like interrogated by them, and just in a country where like it's a war torn country. So like you something to be expected
Mm-hmm.
for that to happen. It's terrifying, but it's normal, and it doesn't really come as a surprise when I tell it to people. I mean, I guess the surprise is like you telling the story and just how I've handled it. Because when I talk about it, they ask me who I support, and I'm like, oh, I support God. And because I know that's the answer they want, or at least an answer that they cannot be like, no, tell us who, give us like a specific. You can't. This is the best answer you can give them. They're like, oh, this is really good. Yeah, you can go. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and then the only reason I tell the story, like I tell like I have like this quick bit about it, and then I move on to like a series of other bits. I let the audience forget about the story, and then I get back to it at the end of my set, where I talk about being stopped by Border Patrol when I was in Spokane, Washington. And now the scene has changed. Like you said, the scene. You're like, we're in the U.S. now. This is supposed to or described as a free democracy, whatever. There's a system here.
By some people. Some people, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people who like whoever the system is working for. And like I tell the story and I just keep telling like what happened and whatnot, and then the way I connect them together, I'm like, well, and then the Border Patrol officer asked me like, where are you from? Like, are you from Oregon or Washington? And I'm like, well, I support God, and you're like, I'm like, I don't know, man. That's how I talk to militias usually. So people like suddenly make that connection, like, because if you just go out of the gate and you're like, yeah, this reminds me of when like checkpoints by like ISIS and stuff. People are just like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible. Like, yes, Border Patrol is bad, but like not as bad. But like once you kind of like set the same scene, you give them the connection, they're like, oh, this sucks. Well,
yeah.
So I mean, it's a creative way of telling it, but like like it gets people to remember it, and they like understand. They're like, well, this is a person who like comes from like a country like this that like has been through a lot, and then he's here and he has to go through the same thing again. we just give it different names and different labels, and we claim
Right.
it's a good system. Well, it's just a copy of other systems that are bad also. We just give them uniforms and that's it, you know. But the impact, the psychological impact, is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your family, for your communities that you hold a combination of wit and petty that and cleverness and self-preservation that was able to help you navigate through those circumstances. I've been through similar uh, many times, and it is never not terrifying, right? There's
Absolutely, yeah.
at the end of the day, whether I had the full assumption that okay, I am going to be leaving here, but there was a clarity presented to me in every one of the situations that was like, yeah, you gonna leave, but we're letting you leave. We have a choice in whether you
Yeah,
leave.
yeah.
And that shit hits to the bone as you started experiencing the same things here, right? Whereas you said you're supposed to have this. Uh, uh. Okay, so I'm just gonna say off the top, I myself, I'm a cannabis communist. I am not here for it. I think it's bullshit, and
Yeah.
so it is very hard for me to even repeat the nonsensical tripe that the United States tries to propose as being what it is it is to be here, right?
Hmm.
It's a horrible place that has a lot of decorations and some cool food and some good comedy. So with that and discovering what it means to be here, um, and how did that hit you? Like where how did like on the deep parts, right? Like what is that for you to be caught up in those moments? Because I know for me there are like there's physical manifestations, there's afterward, there's all kind of shit that
Yeah.
goes with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, like at that day, like when that happened, the whole thing, I was like extremely frustrated and obviously
Mm.
afraid as well, you know, because you hear, I mean, personally, like I read and I've heard all about these stories where like people like get like wrongfully deported or just like get caught up in these situations. Sometimes even people who are like citizens, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're U.S. citizens and they got sent somewhere else because you're dealing with dummies. You're dealing with people who are like literally logic does not come across their minds. You can't even talk to them with logic. Uh, and I was upset because like like even though I obviously I believe that even if you're like undocumented, you obviously have the right to be here and like no, you should not be harassed. Uh, it's your right. You're here. You should stay here and you should be offered all of the benefits that's offered to anyone who lives here.
Mm.
Uh, but the thing that just like stuck with me the most is just like like you keep hearing over and over and over again. They're like, if you want to be here and if you want to come here, you should do it the right way. And I was like, I had the resources and I was privileged enough to do it the right way. You know,
Right.
I applied for political asylum. I had a lawyer. I paid like money to get like my papers together and had like someone take care of them. And I did an interview and waited and all of it was like a torture like process. It's not a fun
How
process. It
long
took
was
four
that
years.
process? 4 years?
4 years. Yeah, 4 years of just like papers and providing like evidence and providing like stuff and like you going through like Facebook messages, Twitter messages, anything to prove that there's a threat that is facing you at home, so you can like the U.S. government would let you stay here. So
So they
like you
believe
had
you.
to live throughout. yeah, exactly. And I literally had to do so much work. Like you come here and you can't even leave your life behind because they're like, okay, now we have to go throughout your whole past, step by step, to make sure that you should stay here. So I did that, and then eventually was granted like political asylum,
Okay.
which is the term that you keep hearing on the media over and over again. So we did that, and then once I was granted that, I was like, that's it, we're good. Like everything is gonna be good now. I am here. I have all of the required papers that they've asked me to do. I'm untouchable, you
Yeah.
know. And then you get on the bus. You're just literally going from Washington to Oregon, nowhere near any border. You're like 100 miles away from the border. Also, like the like 100 miles from the Canadian borders,
Canadian
which is
border.
also, yeah, which just struck me because I'm like, bro, I was like, if I was in Canada, do you think I want to come here? Like, I don't know what to tell you, but I would have stayed there. Uh,
Better food. There's a Pan Asian scene up there. You
yeah,
get
free healthcare.
free healthcare. Muslims are I mean, it's better
Exactly,
than here. It's better than here. It's better than here.
exactly. It's a better version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
PG-13.
and then exactly, exactly. So yeah, well, you get stopped and then you get like interrogated like that, and then like you give them the papers that you have on you. You're like, okay, here's a work permit. Here's my driver's license. Here are all of the papers that you made me pay so much money to get. And then they look at them and they're like, yeah, well, these look fake to me. I think you made this up.
Wow.
Like this people. They're like, people falsify this all the time. And I remember being like, I don't know, like this, you gave me this, like maybe do a better job or something. I guess it's you. Like you're telling me these are easily falsified. Make them not easily falsified. I guess 'cause you're taking so much money every year. Like there should be a way. Uh, and then they're like, yeah, there's no records of you in our system, and you're just like, are you fucking with me right now? Like, what do you mean my name is not in your system? It was just like a bad dream. Like it just like none of it made sense. Uh,
Even as you're
you
saying that,
know?
I'm like,
And
what fucking records? What system? What are you talking about?
yeah,
What
exactly,
what the
exactly,
fuck are you talking about? That makes no sense. Border control has no records of any system. What are you talking about?
exactly. And I'm
God
just like,
damn.
and like part of me just like after a while, like as you talk to them and stuff like that, and then you like start recognize, you're like, you know what, I just have to wait this out because I feel like at this point these guys are just fucking with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can sense, like you can tell, you're like, oh, you're just enjoying this, you're having fun. This is not about papers or anything. Uh, this is just about you just harassing people and just like getting a kick out of it.
Mm.
Uh, and because like I was like noticing like stuff where just like they were like trying to like trigger me to get me to do something. So because I was like, if these people wanted to take me, they would have taken me with them like a long time ago. Now we're just at the process where like they're trying to get me to confess to something or whatever that something is, or do something so they can like take me with them.
Yeah.
Because they were like not listening to me, and then one of them like started yelling at me to take my like hands out of my pocket. And I was just like, okay, well, I was like, I'll take them out of my pocket. I was like, I'm not gonna fight you here. I'm not gonna do anything. And it's like freezing cold, January. It's snowing. These guys are wearing gloves. Had no problem with me having my hands in my coat the whole time. Then just suddenly they were like, we have to come up with a reason to take this guy. And I can sense at the end they were like really getting upset with me as well, because the matter of the fact, like what like after like you do research and like you look at the people they usually stop and stuff, they usually target like like immigrants who are like usually like very new to the country, so
Yeah.
they either
Yeah.
can't speak English well, they have no family, no connection, no platform, like literally just like mostly nothing, like, and they don't know their rights and they don't know like what to say back and all of that. And I think they were like surprised that I was just like someone just like talking back to them and just being like, yeah, like just telling them this is like, because I think at some point I was like, I feel like this is illegal what you're doing. I was like, is this by like, are you supposed to be doing this? Like, I don't think you should be doing. I think I should talk to my lawyer or something. Like, what is happening here? And then yeah, eventually they're just like, hey, okay, man, here are your papers, and like, we're gonna let you go this time, as if they were like doing me a favor. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight you over this. I really just want to go back on the bus. I don't want to talk to anyone anymore. This is like really getting on my nerves right now. So, I got back on the bus, and I think what was more upsetting to me was it wasn't just the whole ordeal with like these two agents. It was also the reaction, like when you get back on the bus, where you like see people like who are like just like watching from the windows of the bus, like the whole thing happening.
Yeah.
And then just a sigh of relief when I got back, not because I was let go, just because like we were 5 minutes late and now we finally can go.
Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, I'm glad that the stakes for us are just so different. And the part that just like, because like you keep hearing over and over again, like from people, like before this happened to me, like people are just being like, if someone does this thing to you, I would say so and so, and I'll fight them, and I'll protect you, and I'll do this. And even like on Twitter, like even like when I posted about like the whole incident, everyone was just like, if only I was on that bus. I was like, that bus had like 30 people on it. No one said anything, like it's just bullshit. You're just saying that now.
Yeah, that's some Mark ass shit right there. That's some Mark Wahlberg shit. Like if I was there, oh, you don't even know. Oh, that plane, we'd have landed. I'd have landed it. Just fucking asshole.
I'm like, no, you did not. You would not have cared. You would have just wanted the bus to move, and like you guys, like literally, no one talked to me when I got on the bus. Like no one was like even like, hey man, what's up? Like what happened? It's nothing. And I was just like,
fucked. I am so fucking sorry to hear that. Yeah. That breaks my heart.
Yeah, I mean, and that what led me to just like posting the whole thing on like social media, because like it wasn't like, oh yeah, like this is a great moment to bring attention to such a topic. I'm like, I was just like, I just want to talk to someone, like
yeah.
I just want to put this out like to someone. I just like, even if it's 10 people see it or like interact with, I don't care. I just want to like have it out. But then like it went like super like it like went by like just like people like started like reading it and just like reacting to it, and like and it became like became like this big thing that I didn't have control over anymore. And it was good because it got me like representation and like by the ACLU and like all of these people, like, and you get like contacted by people who are like been working on this issue for so long, and they'd be like, thank you for like bringing the light to it, because even me, like I had no idea that sort of thing was happening in like Spokane, Washington, until I did research, and I was like, oh, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
This is like not unique by any means, and it's surprising because a lot of people like who were interacting with me were like thought this is like such a like an abomination. You like never have like, oh, this happens like every day.
Yeah.
It's just I just happen to have a Twitter following and just have people I can talk to. That now but it's been happening forever on like these same buses, same station, same agent, same everything.
That's insane. So afterward, and after you got to talk to Twitter in terms of self-care and just managing the weight of all that, right? You're talking about the ACLU's calling all these people, calling all this shit is coming in. What was managing that like? I can't imagine right, that's some shit that you used to. And as I'm asking this, I'm just gonna do some shit real quick. I'm not even gonna fake. Okay, so watch this. I'm taking me off the screen. Watch. See, the audience knows what I'm talking about. You don't know what I'm saying. Now I'm putting me back. And that's not much better. Okay, now I have to say out loud. If you can keep yourself centered to your phone, there you go.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna help us out.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I just moved this.
Okay.
I switched sides because you were sliding out, and I wanted to make sure that you were there. as you answered whatever the fuck I just asked. If you remember, I was vamping and I lost the thread.
Managing that, like the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes, no, the real shit. What the fuck? That is fucked. Because look, I remember what each and every fucking agent who has ever fucked with me at an airport, at a border, at some yoked out, steroided out white boy just in the street one time. What these self-appointed regulators and defenders of the white supremacist patriarchy, and very often state appointed, they don't disappear after doing their little screamy bullshit up in your face. For me, I don't know. Has that been different for you, or?
No, I mean it was because it unfortunately wasn't just them. It was only them at first. But when you have like something like this, like go like catch like national like attention, and then you just introduce a whole subset of people that you just didn't know even existed, who think they have a say, or they think they're like experts on the subject, whatever the subject is.
Opinions are good, and I'm glad the internet has released them on us. Do you know what I mean?
Amazing. Yeah, they're always very well researched and good, and I love to hear
empathetic,
each and every one of them.
Thought through.
Yeah. Yeah, and they always include the human aspect of things.
You thought really they feel you, you feel them.
Yep.
Oh, delicious.
No, like the first day I was like, like busy with everything, just like responding to calls, talking to the media, talking to people, talking like responding and stuff like that, and like talking to these, like you don't have time to process anything because you're just on the phone the whole time.
Right.
And then 2 days in, I was just like, okay, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like I every time I got an email or anything, I'm like, nope, no, not doing this. I'm done. I was like, go read another article about it. Like someone covered it. Just have you, and because like it wasn't just like retelling it. It's just seeing them tell it their way after they hearing it from me, and adding their like spin on it, like, or the opinion, or like whatever agenda they want to like inject into it. And you're just like, it gets to a point where you're just like, I was like, why is everyone like suddenly treating me as if I did something wrong? Like digging through my old tweets and like just like or being like, this guy never liked Border Patrol, never. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's just a thing that people don't like in general.
Yeah.
Or just being like, this guy didn't have all of his papers on him. Like Mohanad Elshieky said, it's not important to carry paper. I'm just like, I haven't said any of this shit. Like, what are you even saying? Or just being like phrasing it in a way that is just like, shouldn't this guy just be grateful that he's here? And now he's just like social media, just like, what is the Libyan government like? Now, what would have happened to him if he was in Libya? And it's just like, obviously it's like,
I'd have tossed $20 and got back on the bus, and nobody would have fucked with me. Like, it'd have been fine. What the fuck are we doing? What are you talking about?
I'm like, I don't know how to deal with. I know how to deal with that shit. I survived my whole life there.
Right.
Yeah, but it was
That's
just like,
so gross.
It was like very interesting, because you're like, oh, if you be my guest, if you want to compare yourself to a country that doesn't even have a government and is a war-torn country, and it's just like, I'm like, buddy, I know things are bad there. That's why I'm not there. That's why I left. Like but I'm like, you promised me these things here, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm like, my bad for thinking things are gonna get better here. Like that's silly me. I'll stop. And it was just and people were just like, for 20 minutes with agents, and you're complaining about that. And I'm just like, buddy, I've worked in customer service, And I've seen you lose your mind over like way smaller things.
Right?
And now you're coming at me because I was upset because I thought I was getting deported. Like, it's not about 20 minutes. It's about like what happened in those 20 minutes. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I should have said something and had them have me for 3 days. Is that a good number of being like locked up somewhere so I can like have like valid emotions about it? Uh, so like you just have to deal with all of that, and it's just like, and I for 2 weeks I just stopped doing comedy. I just couldn't perform anymore.
Yeah.
I just like I couldn't leave the house, and you just start to feel like people are just like looking at you weird, even though they're not. I just like start like being like very paranoid. It's just like people see it on the news, like what they think, like, and I was like getting a lot of threats like from people and stuff like that. I'm like, what if someone has my home address or something, like, and every time I like, and like, and you said like to have like flashbacks and stuff like from like when I lived in Libya and stuff, because like like when I lived there, I wasn't just a citizen. I was like, I also did so much work that like I hosted like a radio show, and I worked with like a lot of like journalists and stuff, and I was like someone who like uh I was like relatively like well known there, but for the work I've done, I was like sort of like an activist. Like people know you and know who you are and know where you live, and see what you talk about and stuff like that. And they come after you and they target you in like ways that you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So to just be here and just like have to deal with that again, just being like being standing somewhere in the street and just like seeing a car which just like pass by slowly, and you're like, oh, here we go. Something gonna happen now. And it's just like, is this really what I signed up for? Just like we're doing the same thing again, but this time we're just doing it in English, basically just up my whole life.
Yeah.
And it took me at least 2 weeks, just like literally just like having like nightmares about it, just like thinking about it and stuff like that, and like talking it out and talking to people, and just like meeting with friends, and it wasn't as easy as I expected to deal with it,
Yeah.
But then eventually you're just like, you just have to go back to living your life, because I'm like, well, I can't like let these people like win, basically. I just can't let them have their like the final say, because that's what they want. They want me to stop doing comedy. They want me to stop like saying stuff. They want me to stop like writing stuff online and stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna give them that. Like, it's just, and I'm just like a bunch of cowards that are just like from like, I don't know where, just like sending me DMs and stuff. Like, whatever, man. It was sad though, because you just like being introduced to a subset of the internet. I'm like, man, you. Like, I know there were like people who were like that hateful, but like when you interact with them and you're just like, what kind of life you're leading, that you're this miserable, that you just find a stranger on the internet and you just wish death upon them just because whatever reason you have. And it's just like, this seems like such a sad life, like I do not envy you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's the curse of the gift of white supremacy at the end of the day, right? Because like, look, they've lived in a system their entire lives that says, okay, your mediocre fucking bozo ass is the shit. Okay, you're the litmus test. You're it, right? They targeted teachers as well as students, right? Kids like me, kids like you, found places to try to like funnel us off or whatever. You show you're smarter than them. Well, it talks too much. I don't know. Whatever it is, right? And that process just keeps going for these defenders. And so now, and not for nothing, because I don't think there is a role that doesn't have dignity to it in society if you find dignity in it. However, they've all been told that they're about to be billionaires because they're just temporarily embarrassed and their boat's coming right up the shore.
Yeah.
And so their job at Target, and it is frustrating the shit out of them. And then the next thing you know, like they're online looking at you, looking at me, and for whatever else, anybody in our bodies and in the way we present would experience the shit that black women have to hear online. My lord, my lord.
Yeah.
I just can't even with these trolls. It's insane, and it is. It's sad. It's sad.
Absolutely, and it's amazing. Yeah, like you said about like them just like thinking they can like also become like millionaires and billionaires and all of that, and it's us that they're like stopping them from doing that, and not the people who have all the money and the resources. And it's just and I tell people that all the time. I'm just like if you if you let that like continue to happen, like like violence against like black people, like what happens to immigrants and what happens. I was like, where do you think this is going after, like, let's say they're like, this is normalized and like they're like done with us.
Yeah.
Whatever the result is. Who do you think they're gonna come to next? They have to have someone. And buddy, they're not gonna take you on board with them on the ship. You're just gonna drown. And that's it. You're like, we're not here anymore. We're not here to defend you. We're not here to help you. It's just you, and you have no resources. I'm like rich people like have everything. There's this class solidarity they have, and you're not in that club.
No, Elon Musk is not rolling with y'all.
Exactly. He doesn't the man does not care. Like he has everything, literally everything.
Everything. White South African Tony Stark gives zero fucks about humanity. Zero.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's just the American way of just like you think you're, and obviously I'm talking about like white people, just like you have like taking like their rights and like whatever like for granted and all of that, and I'm like all of this could go like this and it's gone.
Look,
that's it, and you won't see it anymore, and you just you just let that happen to other people like one by one, and then it's you, and you have no one else to stand up for you. So I mean, it's pick a team now before it's like too late. Yeah.
No, that's it. I mean, look, there are several different instances, and one of them was of a man who was being held in captivity, held in slavery, and was just compensated. Was just compensated for that, and had only been liberated, I think 5-6 years ago, something like that. Don't quote me, internet people. I'm not looking at anything. This is just a conversation. You're observing. We're talking. So that, right, is one of the things that hit me. And then, of course, your case finally seems to have come to a conclusion. Let's hope.
Yeah. It did. I mean, it did come to a conclusion. At least I don't have to deal with the government anymore, which is a win in itself.
Right. The sanctioned part of the terrorism is over, so that's good. The state sanctioned part is done.
Exactly. And I'm hoping by the reason obviously we publicized it and we talked about it in media and whatnot, because you wanna reach out to other people who have had that happen to them, and they're nothing can happen, no one cares, because it's $35,000. It's not that much money for the government. It's nothing to them. It's a price they can pay just to kind of be okay, just go on the side and just stop talking. But stuff adds up. So if tomorrow they have 200 cases against them, 300 cases, now we're talking a significant amount of money. Right. And this is a capitalist society. That's the only language they know. It's just money.
You gotta hear you gotta hear where it hurt. That's it. They don't hear shit else. They don't hear shit else.
Yeah, and that's the reason Greyhound buses stopped allowing. Now they said that they're stopped allowing border patrol to get on their buses unless they have an actual warrant or something. You can't just go on. Is it because they care? No, they've been doing this for over 11 years, 12 years now, since Homeland Security was just like put up 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But once I started talking about it, once it became like an issue of like national attention, and like me just like mentioning them by name over and over, they're like, okay, now we're gonna start losing customers. We're gonna start like losing revenue. We have to make changes, and obviously we're gonna make that change, and we're gonna like label it as like social justice kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's good for them. But I know if we didn't hit them at the money, they would have like never stopped.
No, absolutely not.
At the end of the day, they're a private company. They literally can just be like, no, don't get on my bus. This is like a private. Do you have a ticket? Like, do you have something? Like, if not, just don't go on. But they did not care. But once they start losing money, they're like, okay, cool. You guys are like not good for business. Border Patrol, not good for business. Don't come on my buses. Yeah. It's not that big because we care about immigrants or their rights or whatever. But we'll say we do care, just for the business.
Yeah. No, I mean the publicity we can turn it around.
Exactly.
We can turn it around. And
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very often with those sorts of folk when they then call people like me and say, hey, would you can we do a DEI thing? And then I say, hey, what happened? Because I need to know what happened. Why do you want to do that? What? Because if you're doing it because you're in trouble, no, we can't. That's not what I do. It's not it.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad that's worked out for now. What has this year been for you in Brooklyn? I can't even imagine. Only because I know that the living quarters must be a little taut. It is a year in the pandy, and creatives. Well, this started happening because I didn't know what else to do. So how have you been handling it this year?
It's obviously like hit us all, so it's quite rough, and I'm used to performing every night, and I had that taken away from me, and it just sucks because it's like the main avenue that I have to just feel good.
Yeah.
So eventually, like what I resorted to is I focused more on like writing. I had like few writing projects I like started like during the pandemic, and I was like, now I do not have an excuse to being like, I don't have the time to work on this. I have so much time. So like I've like finished like 2 writing projects, and now they're done. I'm just like finally like in the process of like pitching and whatnot, working on like like podcasts and stuff like that. Just like I don't have a podcast like a talk podcast or like interviews or anything, but like I'm working on a mini series podcast is in the works now. So I try to use my time wisely. Other than that, I really spend it mostly watching TV. I've watched so much TV, got really into video games. I bought so many books, read one probably.
Trophy books.
Most of the books I bought, honestly, I used to put my laptop on for calls like this, so they can put it up. So I mean, they've worked. I'm not gonna say they weren't beneficial.
Right,
I'm like, oh, this is a big book. That would be very helpful.
Listen, based on that recommendation in that format, that may actually be a reason for me to buy Obama's book, because there's no other reason that's
exactly.
That's coming into my house.
Yeah, go in and be like, you know what? Give me your biggest book. What is bigger than the Bible? Give me that.
Who droned on a really long time. I'd like that book. That'd be great.
Give me Peace and War. I'm gonna finally get.
This is the year. This is it.
This is the year. Yeah.
This is it. That and the Obama book. I'm gonna just stack them up and.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Man. Oh shit. Well, listen. This has been great. We're at about time. Thank you so much for joining us here. for sharing everything that you've shared. I think that the strategy is a significant one. I don't think it's insignificant. I do think that the sacrifices that you have made, and you know, I don't know if anyone who ever sees this is going to understand any of the sacrifice or not, but the reality of what it is to have to deal with lawyers with reliving the shit again and again and again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not easy. And like you said, all these motherfuckers who've been telling us since elementary school that if they had a time machine, they would kill Hitler are full of shit because you had your chance. Yeah, and really just appreciate you. Where can the people find you? What's your Twitter one more time?
Yeah, it's at Mohanad Elshieky. They can find me there. I'm mostly tweeting and deleting. You can catch me there, just fighting with people.
Felt bold, might delete later. Cool. Tracy's got it in the chats. Thank you so much for being here. Folks,
My pleasure.
you know what it is. Give it up for my man Mohanad one time, please.
Hell yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Hey, family. You know what we do? We tell truths and try to speak to power, see through the smoke and mirrors. I know that because many of you know me, you know that this experience in many instances has been framed as a smoking show. And 2 or 3 guests in the history of the time we've done this have tried to smoke with me and decided that, hey, let's have a smoke. I'm glad that is happening less. I'm not going to lie. It's one of the reasons we stopped doing this 5 days a week. I can't just be, I have a life, I have a child, I have things, it's too much. I do enjoy being here with you. I always enjoy being here with our guests. And today was special, was meaningful, and we are deeply, deeply appreciative. That's it, I think. Let's show the last placard, and we're going to get out of here. Love you people. You're great. Hey, this has been another Smoke and Mirrors, and this is all the places you can see us right there on the screen right now. If you want to see the faces of the people that you've seen here, except in a still, great. You can go over to IG and see a picture of us talking. That's almost like the conversation if someone froze it in amber. If you want to suggest a topic, a guest, do you have a comment? Do you have a complaint? Ugh, God, please don't have a complaint, you fucking terrorists. But if you do, you can reach us at smokeandmirrorsccb at gmail.com. The B is for blackness. I did skip ahead. I see it in the corner there. I know what's going on. And if you would like to see my tweeters, you can go ahead and see them. That is at Caballo Negrito. At Caballo Negrito, which translates literally to I didn't think through what it would mean to have my Twitter handle not be my name. Caballo Negrito didn't think through what it would mean to have my Twitter handle not be my name. That is for the monolingual. This is the thing that is produced and hosted by myself. My name is Carlos Karim Wyndham. Hey, it's also produced by Tracy Tatamy, and that is about it. Please be safe, get vaccinated, wear a mask. When you come back inside, still wash your hands 5 times a day like a Muslim. We've been saying it since the beginning of this. The Muslims were right about that one, so just fucking admit it. It's just wash your hands more. This could have never happened. We could have all been outside this whole time. You're so gross. I mean, I love you. I love you. Okay, I'll see you next time. I love you.